Imagine the power grid goes silent. No lights, no phone, no communication. In our high-tech world, we've been trained to believe that electricity is something delivered to us by massive corporations through miles of cable. We think power is complex, expensive, and fragile. But what if I told you that you are currently standing in a power plant? Inside your kitchen, sitting right next to your spices, is a substance that, when combined with two common scrap metals, creates a chemical engine that pulls a steady stream of electrons out of thin air. This isn't a life hack, and it isn't a magic trick. This is a forgotten masterstroke of 19th century engineering. It's the method Alessandro Volta used to change human history before the light bulb was even a dream. Today, I'm going to show you how to build a high-voltage saltwater battery array that can charge electronics and provide emergency light using nothing but copper, salt, and water. No fuel, no noise, and no bills. If you want to know how to become your own utility company, don't go anywhere. The hidden history of the voltaic pile. To understand why this works, we have to look back at the year 1800. At the time, the world thought electricity was something only found in lightning or the twitching legs of frogs. Alessandro Volta, a man who didn't have access to specialized labs or lithium mines, realized that electricity was simply a discomfort between two different metals. He discovered that if you stack discs of copper and zinc separated by cardboard soaked in salt water, you create a continuous flow. This was the voltaic pile, the world's first battery. For decades, this was how the world's greatest scientists powered their experiments. We moved away from it because we became obsessed with energy density, making things smaller and more portable. But in a survival situation, or for anyone interested in sustainable engineering, the saltwater battery is superior because it is transparent. You can see it working, you can fix it with your bare hands, and the materials are practically free. Before we build the array, you need to understand the science, because if you don't understand the why, you can't troubleshoot the how. Every battery requires a redox reaction. This is a fancy way of saying one material is losing electrons, oxidation, and another is gaining them, reduction. The anode, zinc. Think of the zinc as a donor. It is a highly active metal. When it touches salt water, it starts to dissolve, leaving behind extra electrons on the surface of the metal. These electrons are under pressure. They want to move, but they have nowhere to go. The cathode, copper. Copper is the receiver. It has a higher electronegativity, meaning it has a natural pull for electrons. The electrolyte, salt water. This is the bridge. Pure water is an insulator, but salt, sodium chloride, breaks into ions. These ions allow the internal chemistry to balance itself out, but they refuse to let the electrons swim through the water. This is the engineering trap. Because the electrons can't jump through the water to get to the copper, we provide them with a highway, a copper wire. The electrons sprint through the wire, through your device, and into the copper cathode. That sprint is what we call an electrical current. Most people who try this make 1 cup and get disappointed because it only produces 0.8 volts. A smartphone needs 5 volts to charge. A high-retention engineer knows that the secret isn't a bigger cup, it's a series connection. Phase 1. The material prep. You need 6 containers. Plastic cups work best because they are insulators. You need 6 pieces of copper, wire or pipe, and 6 pieces of galvanized metal, zinc. Phase 2. The jump link method. To multiply your voltage, you must connect the cells in a specific chain. Place 1 zinc and 1 copper in cup 1. Crucial step. Do not connect them to each other in the same cup. Take a wire and connect the copper of cup 1 to the zinc of cup 2. Then connect the copper of cup 2 to the zinc of cup 3. Repeat this until you reach cup 6. By doing this, you are stacking the electrical pressure. It's like connecting 6 water pumps in a line. The water comes out with 6 times the force. This 6-cell array will give you approximately 4.8 to 5.2 volts, exactly what you need for USB devices. Phase 3. The saturated electrolyte. Don't just add a pinch of salt. You want a saturated solution. Heat your water slightly and stir in salt until it no longer dissolves and begins to settle at the bottom. The higher the ion concentration, the lower the internal resistance of your battery, and the more amps current you can pull. Troubleshooting. The bubble barrier problem. If you build this, you'll notice that after 20 or 30 minutes, the power might start to drop. Most people think the battery is dead. It's not. As the reaction happens, tiny bubbles of hydrogen gas form on the copper. This is called polarization. These bubbles act like a plastic wrap, insulating the copper and stopping the electrons from landing. The engineering fix. In the 1800s, they used toxic chemicals to stop this. You don't have to. Simply stirring the water or depolarizing the copper by briefly removing it and wiping it down brings the power back to 100%. If you want a hands-off system, adding a small amount of hydrogen peroxide or even vinegar to the salt salt water will chemically eat those bubbles and keep your light glowing for hours. Why does this matter in 2026? We live in an age of black box technology. We use devices every day that we couldn't repair if our lives depended on it. We are tethered to a grid that we don't control. Mastering the saltwater battery is about energy sovereignty. It is the realization that as long as you have scrap metal and the ocean or a bag of salt, you are never truly powerless. It's a primitive trick that proves modern problems often have ancient, elegant solutions. You can scale this up. Instead of cups, use 5-gallon buckets. Instead of nails, use copper sheets and zinc plates. A bucket-sized saltwater battery array can provide enough current to run emergency radios, fans, or massive LED arrays for days on end. The only fuel being consumed is the zinc, which is one of the most abundant and recyclable metals on Earth. Let's talk about survivalists' philosophy. When you look at these cups of cloudy water, don't just see a science project, see a bridge. You are witnessing the exact moment chemistry turns into physics. This is the same reaction happening inside your $1,000 smartphone, just slowed down and stripped of its complexity. Engineering isn't about the tools you have, it's about the laws you know. When you understand the galvanic series, the world becomes a giant battery. You realize that 2 different pieces of metal in a lemon, a potato, or a cup of coffee can produce power. Salt water is simply the most efficient, cheapest, and most infinite way to do it. This is the foundation of survival logic, using the environment to meet your needs without relying on a crumbling infrastructure. It's about taking useless salt and useless scrap and turning them into the most valuable resource in the modern world: information and light. If you've followed along this far, you now have the power to create electricity anywhere on the planet. But there is a second half to this equation. Power is a luxury, but water is a necessity. You can live without your phone, but you can't live without a drink. In our next video, we are going to apply this exact same low-cost, high-yield engineering mindset to the world's most vital resource. I'm going to show you how to build a DIY infinite water machine that turns even the most contaminated water into 100% pure drinking water for less than $20, the perfect companion to your new saltwater power grid. Stay tuned for the DIY infinite water machine next time.